Greetings, this is Fair None again, and I just want to drop a little word sound on you. This is part 23 of how to start an honest revolution and rebuild our world at the same time, and it's entitled Work, because that's what it's going to take. The election was only 5 days ago, I believe. The date is 11/13/2016, so yeah, 5 days ago. Donald Trump is president-elect. A lot of people losing their minds. They're going crazy and don't know what to make of it. But as I've always maintained, well, not always maintained, after examining all the facts of, statements that were made to me about this guy and how bad he is, I came into contact with what his philosophies actually are, and I'm pretty much in agreement with pretty much everything that I've been exposed to, and as far as what this man has been saying is his vision for our country. So anyway, without any further ado, greetings. This is Fair None again. I'm the president, founder, and only member of the Universal Intelligence Agency. I'm a one-man organization with many affiliates, and forever this way it will remain. Once again, I come to you to discuss some topics of very deep concern, one in particular. You see, many people may want to see many situations that they find themselves in as they go through life to materialize into the outcome that they particularly desire without doing anything to ensure that it does. They want what they want out of life without putting forth any true effort. They want to do the same exact thing that they've been doing over and over again while expecting different results. And what I described is the definition of insanity. But is this really insane? In reality, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is not always insane. For example, let's say you were engaged in physical exercise and you were working on your biceps. If you isolate that muscle and you work it over and over again in exactly the same way, you will experience different results. Your biceps will become more powerful and better defined, and you will become more powerful overall, especially if you're doing the same thing with all the other muscles in your body. I have a question for you. What if it were the mind and not the body that was being worked out? What if you isolated a particular part of your brain and devoted it to a particular field of study and worked it over and over again? Is this insane? Would you grow mentally, or would you go insane? Would you experience different results? I sure bet you would. Take myself, for example. I've been studying the conditions that many people find themselves in throughout the world. In fact, everyone finds themselves in the same position that everyone else is in. They just do not necessarily see things in the way that I'm about to explain to you right now. I discovered that the people of this world, myself included, are full of shit and that we all need an enema. So I set about first trying to discover what I need to successfully purge myself of the filth that had accumulated inside of me. But what I did not know at the time is that I still did not know that I did not know. Meaning, whatever I had perceived as the problem with humanity was not really the problem at all, was it? They say that knowing is half the battle. And I could not identify my true enemy for more than half of the time that I've been fighting this war. Because of this, I've not been able to win many battles unless that battle is specific to what my challenge or challenges are or were. I have always wanted to help fix whatever is going on with humanity as a whole, but what are our challenges really? I've been wrong about what our challenges are many times in the past, and as a consequence, I've been known to make many false statements to people who are also trying to find their way. I didn't mean to do that. This was not intentional. I have been sincere in trying to help solve the problems that humanity faces the entire time that I've been doing what I'm doing for everybody. Why? Because I see the divinity in every single human being on this earth. And I've been hurt a lot, and I've been privy to certain information that informed me about the nature of my problem and the problem specific to every other black person on the planet. And that information has led me to identifying certain members of other groups of people who are not black that conspired against us, not only to rule over us, but to foster a horrible existence for my ancestors to endure and for me and my future offspring to endure. The knowledge of these things was too difficult to bear without losing a lot of objectivity that I'd taken on this endeavor with. So I became a bigot to some extent. And this is a totally predictable outcome, one that would actually work to the benefit of those who oppress us all. Only I did not know it at the time. For a while, I lost sight of what one of my core grounding principles are. I had resolved a long time ago that I want to help make the world a better place by, above all, not being a part of the problem. If nothing else, I did not want to become the problem. It is very, very easy to become the problem if you are not going about doing things the right way during the course of your daily living. Everything we do in the way we live our lives is practice leading to the eventual end of us individually becoming better or worse people. How do we go about doing How we go about doing things, to me, is just as important as what gets done. And when you're economically oppressed, confused, ignorant, and not properly educated in today's world, becoming a bigot can become pretty easy. I wasn't one of those die-hard bigots though. I could I was or I could have been compared to the white dude, Remy, in the John Singleton flick Higher Learning. Have you ever seen it? Check it out and you'll understand what I'm saying better. If you look at the flick for the truth of what the overall message that was actually meant to be conveyed, we are all Remy. That could have been you. That could be you. It could be me. There are still some basic universal truths that need to be comprehended by everyone that lives in this world. Then we can move forward. These truths are still not known to everyone, which gives rise to the increase of the Remys in the world. And when I watched that movie many years ago, the intended message was not lost on me. I got it right away. I realized at that point that one of my challenges was not to become Remy. I have lost my way quite a few times, and I am now finding my way back. I want freedom, just like everyone else out there. But I do not want freedom at the expense of everyone else. When you think about it, in my own individual case, I am already free. Freedom is a state of mind and a state of being. And when you are free, you control every aspect of your existence. And no entity outside of you could colonize you in any way, not even in the way you think. That is the goal. You could become very unpopular very fast, living in the type of world that we live in today, existing in this way. I am free, not because of any constitution or anything like that, although it does help to know of its existence. I am free for four main reasons. Here, let me outline them for you. One, universal law and not the law of man made it that way. Two, the law of man made it that way. Three, I stand before the universe, total John Ray, in full character, with knowledge of self, the living man, subject only to universal law. And because I know for certain of you, that is not going to be enough because I fucking say so. There are many types of people out there in the world that could all be classified in different ways. Among them are benevolent souls and non-benevolent souls. You are either one or the other by choice or by circumstance or both. Ultimately, we are all born as benevolent souls, innocent, free of the filthy ways of this world. We are not born predators of one another, but because of the pressures of this world, lack of knowledge and how to apply it, and not ever having truly possessed the will toward the realization of one's own full potential, or even awareness of the possibility of becoming something better than we were ever told that we are, the cycle continues. Every man and woman and child on this earth is significant to me, and I want the world to be better for us all. Why not? We're all one big human family. Every ethnic sect that exists, as far as I know, I could be wrong, according to my research, comes from us, the African family, all of us. That being said, let me point out this fact technically means that we are all black people, which may sound funny, but it is actually a true fact if you think about it, you know? So if a fight breaks out, let's just say, for example, and or riot ensues somewhere, and one white person or Asian or Indian or Puerto Rican, anybody, actually has the ability to get everyone's attention long enough to utter, what are we fighting for? We're all black people. Now, a lot of people might laugh and it might sound funny, but did you know that the individual speaking would be correct according to what I just outlined? Just for food for thought, because I have to move on. Before I proceed any further, I want to get one thing straight. I don't want to be your leader. That's not what I'm promoting. I don't want to be anyone's leader. I could barely lead myself. Come on. I will be the first to admit, however, even if no one else does, that I've been very good at leading myself so far. I only want to lead my own children until they reach an age of discernment. Then they could do whatever they want with whatever knowledge they have. Sometimes I feel stupid doing this type of work because I know for a fact that although I do have a lot of knowledge, I do not have all the right answers. You do not need a leader. You do not need a savior. What you need is knowledge of self and a knowledge of the world around you and how you fit into the whole equation as an individual, affecting the whole scheme of things. This is part of an ongoing commentary of how I, as one individual, see the world and what its problems are, and what we, the good people of the world, who have chosen to be on our own, be that way on our own, could do about making the world a better place for all future generations of human beings on the planet. And the route that I have personally chosen to achieve these objectives is through the use of the widespread dissemination of knowledge and the examination of things that are deemed to be true, while in fact they are not. This route is specifically geared towards the edification of the African family, for starters. Why? Because the state of ignorance and confusion that we find ourselves in worldwide, it's key to this whole shit. This whole shit meaning the crisis that the people of the entire world find ourselves in, of all ethnic backgrounds, depends on what is and has been happening to us as a people for quite some time. So that's why, black people. So that's why I go about things the way I do. And I've chosen to focus specifically on the mental, spiritual, economic, political, and cultural development of the African family specifically for many reasons. And not claiming to be Jesus, just making an allegory here, but I can see why he said he came only unto his kind back in the day. There may have been so many so-called Gentiles that were sympathetic to the cause of the Jew, but they were not willing to put themselves in the place of the Jew and share the burden of the Jew in order to change the condition of the Jew under Greco-Roman occupation and oppression. As a consequence, among the ranks of the Jews who clearly needed direction and hope at a time when presumably the Jews need him most, a man rose out of their own ranks who could show them the way to becoming all that they ever were and could be again. All they needed was a knowledge of the Father, and if they had a knowledge of the Father, they'd have knowledge of self as well. But just one problem though. If there's a father, there must be a mother, so they left somebody out. Don't ask me how I know that. I just know. It should not be something that I should have to set out and try to prove either, because it's so obvious it hurts. They say fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. I say the ability to put your critical and analytical thinking skills to work is the beginning of wisdom. Trust by but verify, you dig? So history repeats itself. And like I said, I'm not trying to compare myself to Jesus. Actually, it's kind of embarrassing to make this allegory, but the conditions are pretty much the same. So fuck it. Let's go anyway. Jesus did not come just to save his own people. He came to save the world. But he knew that the only way that the world could be saved was to save his people. Why? Because it was obvious. They were God's chosen people. The only people in the world with the God program already embedded inside of them. These were God's people, and they were naturally great. And all of the other nations conspired against them because they could see how great these people actually were. The Jews back then must have been so great that it must have hurt all the other nations to just look upon them. Goddamn Jews. They must have said to themselves, those goddamn Jews, why did the Most High choose them over us? Damn it. You know? Right now, I'm getting into territory where what I say could be interpreted as bigotry. So I will just cut my explanation short right here. I'll just say a few more words. I'll express one final thought on the subject at this time, however. The route to making this world a better place is through the edification of the African family worldwide. And we are the modern day Jews, black people. Heck, we may even be the ancient Jews as well, if they ever existed. And if there was any group of people that ever existed that were called Jews, it must have been black people, period. End of story. So those people around today masquerading as the Jews, the imposters, if there ever was any Jews to begin with. Now to conclude, I am on a mission to help make the world a better place. No, I'm not Jesus, but I possess his spirit, and it's been conferred upon me. And I come not unto the heathen, but unto those who seek the Father and Mother of all creation. Now this is, in their ways and actions, I'm not saying that, people got to do some kind of religion or whatever. How you live your life is your religion, basically. Now, this is not to suggest that all or any people who are not black are either a heathen or a Gentile of some sort. Now, listen to me carefully, because I already acknowledged that on some level we are all black people, so don't be tripping. I can't stand any type of heathen, somebody that don't believe in the Father or the Mother or both or whatever, black or white or whatever. But a Gentile could be my brother. You know what I'm saying? It depends on the spirit, because ultimately I would prefer to be in the company of enlightened, benevolent Gentiles in the company of Jews, metaphorically speaking, willfully evil and deliberately rebellious of the laws that my father and mother have ordained and established in this world. Now, these are just my own personal beliefs. And if you fall into the latter category, I'm not going to lie. I have a problem with you, and I make no secret or apology of it or for it. If you do not, I have nothing but love for you. Yeah, real shit. That's how I get down. Now, this world is being run by a bunch of satanic, planet-hating megalomaniacs. People who's crazed with obtaining and maintaining their power, who try to hide what they are doing by conducting their operations in secret. And these days, well, it would appear that there's no longer a need for that, but things are beginning to change. There's no longer a need for that, and by that I mean secrecy. But things is beginning to change. Hear me out. The people of the planet have been too afraid to challenge them, and the people who run the world have been able to achieve their objectives by using the knowledge that they have obtained through the mastery of the many sciences and an exhaustive and complete list of studies of things having to do with predicting and controlling human behavior, and by manipulating human perception of identity, class, status, and other things, so that we don't know who the fuck we are. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you, that they've studied us all, and they've used the knowledge that they've obtained about us in those studies to enslave everyone on the planet. And most of us do not even know that we're enslaved on some level. And this is an example of the effectiveness of the techniques employed against us. Make no mistake that you, me, we are all the products of a machine that has been fabricated to effectively put out a desired product. Somehow, many of us have become a part of that machine, and we make more machines through our daily activity. Please indulge me as I make an allegorical reference between the slavery of a couple hundred years ago and the slavery of today. We start out in this world as little baby slaves, needing the love and nurturing and direction that we're supposed to get from our loving parents. Most often, that does not happen like it is supposed to because mommy and daddy, like I said, are part of the machine. Sadly, mommy and daddy have realities to face that somehow takes precedence over their obligation to us, their young. As a young baby slave, you're not really actually aware of your future condition. They kind of ease you into that knowledge, making it seem as though things are not really that bad. Things are easier for you as a young baby slave. And at that time, you present yourself as more of a nuisance than that of being in the way than anything else. Back in the day, they would tell you to go out and play with the other children in order for adults to get time to do what they have to and need to do. Today, we either hand them a tablet or send them off to school. When we send them off to school, we're making a mistake for a lot of different reasons. I cannot get into them all, but I will talk about a few. One, any and all things registered are the property of the Crown, period. By the Crown, I mean the Crown Corporation of London, the Crown. This is deep, and I reserve the explanation of it for a whole other discussion. The point is, you literally give your child away to the system unknowingly by way of the registration process. Fraud. Not just your children, but anything you may claim to own. Once you register it, it is not yours anymore. It literally belongs to the king. Not the king of England or London, mind you. Not even a king in particular per se. I'm talking about the Crown Temple Bar located in the city-state of London. It is, in my opinion, arguably one of the single most powerful entities in the world. There's a little few steps higher than that, but they are who they are. And if you claim and use a legal name, that is who owns you. Did you know that? The Crown. But then again, that's a whole other discussion. Continuing my reason for stating that sending our children to school is a mistake. Two, sending your children to school serves several main functions, effectively, without many of us even knowing it. Sadly, many of us, if we knew these things, would not give it a second thought to even try to do something different because of the realities we face. The public school system, private, charter, or whatever, I don't care what they are, will teach your child to respect and obey an increasingly false authority, while separating the influence of the parents over the child, of the child over that child. They will learn in a pack type of environment where individuality is not encouraged or promoted, and here they will learn what pressure from their peers is really about. They will, through the administration of many different tests to track the progress of the child, be required to produce the so-called right answer every time. I have marveled at this situation, which is as plain as day to me as how this could be allowed to continue. I've marveled at this situation, which is as plain as day to me, how this could be allowed to continue, and I could understand it a whole lot better now. The parents are in on it. Not completely, but like I said earlier, these parents have realities to face, and the children pose themselves as a distraction. So what the parents have to do is flip the script and distract the children. They will never tell the truth, the children the real truth about why they allow the things in their lives to occur the way they do. They're too afraid. On a kind of fucked up Stockholm syndrome type of level, they have begun to identify with their captors, and they want their children to be afraid of their captors as well. So they never tell them the truth. Not because of the reasons that one might assume, though. They are trying to protect their children on a psychological level. Not only that, but heck, themselves do not want to know the truth. So the cycle continues. So the simple fact of the matter is that mommy and daddy are in a straight up mess. This is what they have one day awakened to the truth of, eventually, all of them, at one point or another. Mommy and daddy have to put food on the table, and they have to keep a roof over the heads of the children, the responsible ones, that is. Mommy and daddy have to work, and they need a babysitter, which is the school system, to teach the children how to make it in this world. You know, the necessary skills like reading and writing and language and how to count and make change and produce reports and, well, you know what I'm saying, the regular stuff like how to keep this machine running. And any education up until that point is not only free, but it is compulsory. Ever wonder why that is? Any education after that you want, you have to pay for. So at that point, you will be more valuable to the machine because you have specialized knowledge on how to keep it running. Now, mommy and daddy most likely are not aware of the nature of the machine themselves, and therefore unable to pass on the knowledge of the nature of the machine to their offspring. And if they could, in many cases, parents would never give specialized knowledge of the running of the machine to their children, because like back in the day, they feared that their children would go off and do something that they think is stupid, like challenge the machine. And God forbid that this would happen, because master might get really angry. Yeah, best keep them ignorant. Get in on the line. Yeah, Santa Claus brought you those gifts for being a good little boy or girl. Mind control. And we thought that slaves were simple, huh? Yeah, that's right. The slaves, both modern and ancient, had mind control used against them to keep them under control. And the adult slaves subconsciously picked up on the techniques being employed against them, and hence began to perpetuate this entire condition for the purpose of protecting their offspring by using these very same techniques against their own offspring. And when you think about it, it's pretty genius how these societal manipulators work, isn't it? Nope. No, it's not. This shit is as simple as 1, 2, 3 and ABC to understand. You just got to be in the right mindset and frame of mind to understand it. If not, you will not be able to completely comprehend what's going on around you. And not knowing or understanding the world you live in contributes to the onset of perpetual fear. And living in fear will prevent you from accessing those higher mental faculties that would be employed to help us individually and collectively employ strategies that would free us from our mental prisons. The goal in this case should be for individuals to attain and maintain a sense of objectivity in their dealings. Things are not always as they appear, and to assume that means that you have lost your objectivity, which is the ability to see things exactly as they are. I want to read an article to you. It is taken from the University of Minnesota website. It is entitled "The Impact of Fear and Anxiety." And to begin, fear is a human emotion that is triggered by a perceived threat. It is a basic survival mechanism that signals our bodies to respond to danger with the fight or flight response. As such, it is an essential part of keeping us safe. However, people who live in constant fear, whether from physical dangers in their environment or threats they perceive, can become incapacitated. How fear works. Fear prepares us to react to danger, and once we censor potential danger, our body releases hormones that slow or shut down functions not needed for survival, such as our digestive system, and sharpen functions that might help us survive, such as eyesight. Our heart rate increases and blood flows to muscles so we can run faster. Our body also increases the flow of hormones to an area of the brain known as the amygdala to help us focus on the presenting danger and store it in our memory. The effect on thinking. Once the fear pathways are ramped up, the brain short circuits more rational processing paths and reacts immediately to signals from the amygdala. When in this overactive state, the brain perceives events as negative and remembers them that way. It also stores all the details surrounding the danger, all the details, the sights, the sounds, the odors, the time of day, the weather, and so forth, your subconscious, right? These memories tend to be very durable, although they may be fragmented. Later, the sights, sounds, and other contextual details of the event can become stimuli themselves and trigger fear. They may bring back the memory of the fearful event, or they may cause us to feel afraid without consciously knowing why, because these cues were associated with previous danger. The brain may see them as a predictor of threat. This often happens with post-traumatic stress disorder, which most Black people are or should be diagnosed with. For example, a soldier who experienced a bombing on a foggy day might find himself panicking when the weather turns foggy without knowing why. The impact of chronic fear. Living under constant threat weakens our immune system, so it's killing us and can cause cardiovascular damage, high blood pressure, you know what I'm saying? Come on. Gastrointestinal problems, ulcers, and other irritable bowel syndromes, and decreased fertility. Well, we ain't really got that problem so much, but fear can impair formation of long-term memories and cause damage to certain parts of the brain, such as the hippocampus. This can make it even more difficult to regulate fear and leave a person anxious most of the time. To someone in chronic fear, the world looks scary, and their memories confirm that. Moreover, fear can interrupt processes in our brain that allow us to regulate emotions, read nonverbal cues, and other information presented to us, reflect before acting, and act ethically. This impacts our thinking and decision making in negative ways, leaving us susceptible to intense emotions and impulsive reactions. All of these effects can leave us unable to act appropriately. Other consequences of long-term fear include fatigue, clinical depression, accelerated aging, and even premature death. So whether threats of our security are real or perceived, they impact our mental and physical well-being. And that's the University of Minnesota website. I've taken that article from, and it's called The Impact of Fear and Anxiety. I've chosen this article to display a lot of the different ways that people are impacted by a chronic state of fear. The chronic state of fear that many of us live in is literally killing us. This chronic fear that contemporary living causes has a significant impact on our lives, manifesting in almost every ailment that is afflicting the human experience, while the mucus in our bodies, according to Dr. Sebi, is proven to account for the rest. The societal manipulators are not really that smart as people would have you imagine. They come from our collective, they use our collective knowledge. They're not like born with that to be able to, run things the way they do with all of that knowledge. And it may seem that way when you yourself in your present condition know very little of how it is that of all that we observe has come to be. Once you shut the fear off, you can become yourselves again. So I've done it with knowledge, and my name serves as an example. Fear none. It serves as an example of what I have to live up to accomplish my objectives while I'm still here on this planet. Do I ever experience fear? Sure, I do. for a brief moment from time to time, sometimes for extended periods. But I've trained myself on how to process the fear by first accepting it and owning it. That might seem kind of odd to say, but first, you must realize that it is a necessary first step in my healing. I have to know that there's an attempted colonization against all rational thought against me, which of course leads to action taking, being susceptible to any action taken against me. So I have to be in a state of knowing. While I'm experiencing this thing. In other words, I actually have to realize that I'm in a state of fear and the impact that it could have against me, while realizing all the other physiological changes that are occurring inside of me at the same time. I have to come to a point of acceptance as well, and then process all of this information or this knowledge in an instant. To conclude my brief explanation on how I deal with fear is that I snatch it up and it does not consume me. I consume it. I learn from it and then I chew it up and spit it out. Adversity could have two effects on a person. I do not know about anybody else, but when I survive adversity, it makes me stronger. Adversity, therefore, has become my friend because I've come to realize that without adversity, I am stagnant and I do not want that. I want to grow. So I welcome adversity as I'm always preparing for it, physically, but more importantly, with knowledge. No one can be perpetually fearful or that person will die an early death. Knowing this, I overcome fear with knowledge. I am vulnerable to the effects of the conditioning of fear, just like everyone else. And given the right conditions, I imagine that even I could be reprogrammed and become a shell of a man, just like any man or woman out there that has become a shell of a man or woman. This is why I do not judge people, because just as we in society are so quick to instantly cast judgment upon others based on who we believe that these people should be, I try to remain mindful that we never truly know what may have caused a person to become who they have become. A drunk, a crackhead, a homosexual, a whore, an asshole, a bitch. I could go on and on. The reason I cannot bring myself to feel hate for anyone in this world, I mean that real true hate, is that I know that this hate exists as a result of an energy that a coherent negative force that exists among us is feeding off of. That type of energy that we generate for one another, the negative energy. And now that I'm conscious and aware of it, I am inclined to not let it get what it wants and help it destroy itself using knowledge as my weapon against it. I cannot bring myself to feel that real true hatred towards others because it hurts me more than anyone else. And I don't want hateful vibes around me because I've observed the amount of destruction that it could cause in my own life. So for the most part, I keep those kind of people away from me. People tell me that they don't see much of me every day anymore. And the reason for that is that association makes assimilation. So I only spend a lot of time with people that I find that I'm able to grow from and learn from. And if I were to spend an extended period of time with someone with whom I could teach that perhaps would want to learn from me, it would have to be someone with whom our spirits could mutually coexist in harmony together so that we can build. We can learn from each other. It's not just me doing all the teaching. We all learn from each other. I cannot take the chance of exposing my spirit to people who are willfully choosing to not grow and remain on the level that they are now on for any extended period without cause. And if I do, chances are I will eventually become more like them than the other way around. So I spend a little time with everyone, In this way, I keep things pure and I gain just the right amount of insight from each encounter to avoid overexposure at the same time. The people who run the world are clever, but if what they know and do and have done were common knowledge among the common people, and if we had the knowledge that they know about us that is being kept from us, that today we pretty much keep from ourselves because the knowledge is out there, if you truly want to find it, our whole existence as a human species would change. We just have to will towards it. The other part of this fact is that it is going to require work. And that is what I came to talk to you guys about today. The title, again, of this audio and video presentation is How to Start an Honest Revolution and Rebuild Our World at the Same Time, Part 23, Work. Now, let me stop. Big up to Rihanna and her people for this fantastic beat that I'm using in the background. I claim fair use for illustrative and educational purposes. So to wrap this up, because I'm wrapping it up now, I would like to talk about work in the sense that it is a key essential ingredient in the accomplishment of any task that anyone has ever set upon with the serious intent to fulfill. My task is to make the world a better place by first and foremost not being a part of the problem. And that's going to require work. From time to time I fail at this task because I allow myself to become affected by my ego. Then I say things that I should not be saying. This is a remnant of my upbringing and false information that I've been infected with. So I don't know sometimes I don't know any better. But when I do find out, then I kind of make my adjustments. It takes discipline and practice to stay in the realm of reality. And for those of you who are quick to be critical of me, I ask that you be mindful of the fact that I've broken completely free from the herd in every conceivable way. And I no longer wish to identify with my captors. And unlike the advice given to me in the Bible, I've chosen to rely on my own understanding. And I challenge all others to do the same from a vantage point of one who knows rather than one that is purely intuitive. So do the same from a vantage point of one who knows rather than one that is purely intuitive. So what I'm trying to say by that is to get knowledge. So for this, intense study is needed and sincerity of heart, and the answer to all things you seek after will gradually be revealed to you. Make no mistake, this requires work. And as a reminder, my other task is to continuously work towards the edification of the African family through the use of the widespread dissemination of knowledge. In this regard, I have not faltered one bit, except that a lot of things, again, that I've said over the years have not been altogether true. Again, this is the remnant of my past and evidence of just how much of a picture of truth and correctness could be painted and accepted by one or many individuals who consider themselves very intelligent. Again, in my case, ego seemed to play a major role in my getting caught up in all of these philosophies or agendas that I might have pushed at any given time. And I say all of this to tell you that I am philosophically evolving and thus evolving in other ways that are equally as important. I am not the same person that I was a few months ago. I'm not even the same person that I was a few weeks ago. I'm constantly trying to become a better person. And I know I fail miserably very often, but it requires practice. I know that because I'm around myself all the time. And many other people, even the ones who are around me all the time, do not know that, because most often the standard that I have to hold myself accountable to is very often much higher than the ones my peers hold me to, because a lot of people be telling me how good I am and shit like that, and I'll be like, I ain't good, motherfucker. I'm trying to be good, I'm working towards it, but so their standards for themselves is low, so they hold me to the same standards. I think that they should aim higher personally, because that's what I'm trying to do, and if we all did that, the world would be a better place. And nevertheless, I keep trying. And I've always wanted to help make this world a better place using knowledge, but at the same time, I did not know what I did not know. So how could I proceed any differently? What I was not aware of at the time of the onset of my endeavors is the fact that the majority of the inhabitants of the world who have access to knowledge do not want it. They have the same access to the knowledge that I have, but they are distracted. You can't give them no knowledge. They got to go seek it for themselves. That's the fact that that's what I came up with eventually. Anyway, little did I know, or maybe you got to influence people to want to seek the knowledge and hope that uh, throughout all their bad experiences and what have you, they're gonna want to seek the answers. But it's gonna happen on its own. Nobody can really fully influence that. Anyway, little did I know, or maybe I did not want to admit that human beings, for the most part, are undisciplined creatures that place greater emphasis on self-satisfaction and the indulgence into any given vice than being responsible stewards over themselves and the earth. This is one of the main reasons that things are the way they are. The list of reasons is long, and I couldn't possibly name them all, wouldn't want to try. But until recently, I thought that if I labored harder and harder and made more and more sacrifices in order to show some level of consistency in my efforts to awaken those with whom I come in contact with, in hopes that I would find others who think the same way that I do, would show the same level of consistency and effort as I do, in order that we could combine our knowledge and abilities in some way to materialize something bigger than ourselves, while agreeing to disagree on those things in which we are not in agreement. I never wanted to merge with anyone. I already made myself clear in pretty much the first paragraph of this message. I will always be like that. It is what is needed to keep my objectivity. I'm comfortable in my own skin, being by myself and, in my own category for the most part. Anyway, my intention is to positively influence the way my people are doing things using the knowledge that I now possess as a result of my research. So why have I not been successful so far? Well, in a way, I've been very successful. I've given out thousands and thousands of documentaries over the years, and there were only a few or a handful of incidences in which I ever charged anyone for them, because I wanted to raise the vibration of the people around me, so I could have somebody to talk to about some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I did a lot of it on my own dime. And I did solicit donations, however. And the point is, once I introduced the topic and the person who I was speaking to seemed really interested, that person received that documentary or publication or whatever as a gift from me, with or without a donation. Years later, as I walked through the hood, countless individuals of whom I do not even recall, I don't even know these motherfuckers, have returned to me and thanked me for the knowledge. I often hear heated conversations going on in certain places concerning knowledge of which I know that I am the source of that information. Like, I brought it to somebody that brought it to somebody that brought it to somebody, and boom, the mental level of mental elevation was actually occurred. Anyway, this is success, but is that real success? It is, but not on the level that I wanted to. Yet, no, at least not yet, but it is success. I have evidence of success, but it is not about all of that, is it? No, it isn't. It's about doing my part. It's about doing the work, whether or not I seem successful. And I do not do this for likes and shares, because if you check my YouTube account, if you check my Facebook account, I get like an average of 20, 23 people, maybe 50 people. And, for certain things, I got like 500 views and stuff like that. But come on, that's compared to other people that are online. So I'm not doing it for likes or shares, because if I was, I would have given up on this a long time ago. I'm just doing it because it got to be done, and the information is going to be there for people that want to check it out, that see its value when that time comes, if it ever does. So that is what it is. People are scared and programmed for failure, and they're stuck in a loop that they simply cannot get out of. And it is they themselves that are keeping them where they are. What, I got Tourette's or some shit right now? It is they themselves that are keeping them where they are. All these things that I just explained are the reality of the matter, and I foolishly goaded myself into thinking that with a little elbow grease and a little study, I could successfully do what thousands and thousands have tried to do before me and have met with failure. So why should I be successful? But like I said, it's not really all about success. It's about continuing this journey and passing the torch on to whoever, so that eventually there could be success. Anyway, this journey has been a truly humbling experience for me. And I've heard it said that desire is the mother of all disappointment, because if you didn't want it so bad, you couldn't be disappointed. Yeah, I gotta admit, I wanted it bad, and I still do. Not to the point where I'm gonna be disappointed anymore, because I understand things a lot more. I have already been disappointed plenty of times and learned from it. I've always come back for more, and the universe was always there to give it to me, and I've always been happy to get it. Thank you. Something good is eventually going to happen, and I'm very proud to have been and still being a part of bringing that into fruition. Babylon is indeed falling, and evil has hence begun to start destroying itself. We are witnessing it right before our eyes, humanity, and we have to remain vigilant in order to now turn this world into the type of world that we envision it being. And I'm talking about everybody. Let's start working together, and with that being said, that's going to require work. That's what it's going to require. All of that is not going to happen by osmosis. You're not just going to see the type of world that you want to see come into existence without you being a part of that change. It's like let me give you an example, like how Trump won, right? A lot of people upset because Trump won, and a lot of people are surprised. They're walking around like, people are saying things online like, what am I going to tell my children that we elected this particular guy that these people have painted him as being the picture of, right? So they can't explain to their children what to, in words, what to tell the children. But the thing is, that would never have been if they didn't assume that the election was in the bag. A lot of people stayed home, although they hated Trump so bad and whatever, but they figured that it was so obvious to so many different people how bad Trump would be, and that Hillary pretty much had it in the bag, and they weren't following politics and what was being revealed about Hillary in the 11th hour, which changed a lot of people's minds. And not to mention that the people who do really seriously want change in America finally came together and concentrated their efforts to see to it that the man that they wanted to get into office, and it happened. So using the Democrats as an example, you could see that you could think, people like you are working towards the world being better. I'm gonna just sit back and enjoy it and do what I'm gonna do, whatever. And then if the shit does actually turn into something else, it's gonna be a huge upset like the election, and you're gonna wonder how it happened. And that's gonna be exactly how it happened, because you let it happen. So anyway, that's it. Those are my words for today. And if you made it this far into my production, I thank you. And as always, I leave you with the following words. This is General Fear None Everlasting, the President, Founder, and only member of the Universal Intelligence Agency, a one-man organization. I am a force to be reckoned with, all on my own, and forever this way it shall remain for objectivity's sake. And finally, right on to the real and death to the fakers. Justify your existence or die like a punk. One. Love you guys. Until next time.